last little bit of talk about Oregon before we head out for Christmas break in a couple days. So,
all right,
you mind giving us just your thoughts on the December signing class and what you're able to bring in today?
Yeah, so we signed a total of 18 prospects to NLIs today. That was representing 9 states, 10 offensive players, 8 defensive players. Credit goes obviously to our recruiting staff. They did a fantastic job led by Devin Doyle, Colton Korn, and Jen Toll. They did a fantastic job of helping us identify who we thought were great fits for our university. First and foremost, that was the best thing that we talked about, is who are great fits for what we're trying to accomplish here and who's going to add to our culture. And these 18 we feel really strongly about, and also the coaches identified through evaluating that they were the best fits and the best talent for us to continue to put ourselves in position to be Conference USA champions and also play for the college football playoff. And we feel really good about the class. And everybody always said how excited you are. We're excited about the quality of people. We believe wholeheartedly they can be good players, but once they get here, we'll see. Out of those 18, 15 of them are mid-year signees. So that means they'll be joining us here in January. So we're excited about that to add some immediate impact this for spring ball to see where they fit. But when you go about building a class, obviously you go after certain needs, and so every position was a position of need. We definitely have to supplement with us losing some guys here after the season. We definitely have to supplement here as we continue to go on. So I would expect us to have some more people to the fold here by the time we get in January. But the thing I'm excited about this class, they bought into us before we started winning. They bought into the vision of, hey, this is what we're building. This is what we believe we can accomplish. And the majority of these young men committed to that vision and to that belief without seeing the fruits of it. Obviously now going through the season, they got a chance to see what we believe we can do and what we can be about. And it excites me that they wanted to be part of the foundation of building this program. This class wanted to do that. And looking forward to getting them on campus. And they all come from quality families, and we're excited for them, and big day for them and their families.
Ask you first about the quarterback, Bradford. That's a young man that I think you've been on since you were at Coastal. He was a freshman in high school, and you've seen him at IMG. I mean, how much has he grown since going to IMG, and what excites you about him?
Yeah, Jaden, obviously, anytime you play at a place like IMG with the number of talented people that they play, the way they run their program, he's college ready from a standpoint of practice repetitions, the things that they do on a daily basis to get their team ready. They play a national schedule. He's played against some great people. So the thing that excites us about him, we know he's talented, but he loves football, and he understands the time requirement that goes into being a great quarterback. And is he going to come in here being perfect? No, he's obviously got to grow. There's always a challenge from the high school to the next level. But every time that he's been up here, man, all he talks about is what he can do to improve the mindset of a quarterback. And so that excites us, from the standpoint, from where he's coming from, the type of level that he's played at, but also he just loves ball. And we think he's a great fit for our system, and that he'll come in. And great thing, he'll be here in January, and he'll get tons of reps this spring and has a chance to see, where he's at right away.
I know he committed pretty early. He had a ton of offers from some Power Fives and others. I mean, was it a little bit of a fight after his senior year, or with him or with others?
I think you're always recruiting your guys, but also I think our high school guys are getting smart. You decommit, don't have a spot, you might lose it to somebody in the portal as well. That's the challenge nowadays is, you give up that spot might go to a college guy and not another high school spot. So I'm sure there were people that, kept recruiting him, but he was locked into us. His family was locked into us there. So there was never, what's the right word to say? Never where you were in doubt, so to speak, from that standpoint. Now, you always, there's always in the back of your mind what happens, but we were never in doubt that he was completely bought into us and been up here, came up for one of the end of the regular season games, came up again for the championship game. And so just excited about being where we're at.
He also brought in 4 JUCO guys, 2 on the defensive line, 1 on the offensive line, and then a safety. getting guys that are a little bit older, maybe you think that these guys could potentially compete and contribute earlier in their career?
Yeah, you hope. The reason why you mix in obviously some junior college guys is you do need immediate help. You're either losing somebody that's played a lot, maybe you don't have a lot of depth at that position, or the depth you do have is new, relatively new, and they've not had tons of experience. And so anybody from junior college that we're bringing in is to try to replace somebody that we've lost, whether it's graduation, whether that's anticipating that going to happen in the future. So we can have somebody that's played at a high level that has experience and understands what college football is like. And so all those guys that we signed were positions of need, whether we lost some people, we're anticipating losing some people, and they know what they're coming into. And we expect all 4 of them to obviously be here in the spring and contribute and have a chance to play a lot for us if they are capable of doing the things we believe they are. And you mix people out, why JUCO over portal, vice versa. The thing about junior college guys, they sign with you, you got them for a little bit, right? The challenge with the portal is we're trying to bring those guys in as well, but you can't lock them in anything until school starts. And so if we identify guys from the junior college we felt good about that we think can help us, we identified them relatively early. We've been on a lot of these guys for a while because we knew we would be losing some people at key spots, and it was good for us to identify them and actually be able to bring them in.
You also brought in 2 tight ends, high school guys, Eli and Deuce. Where do you see them fitting in with your team as they develop?
Well, if you paid attention, we obviously like to use a lot of tight ends. Whether that's 2 tight ends at a time, and it's a big need for us as far as we're developing. We've got Bentley Hanshaw, Austin Henderson was here. We brought in a couple other guys, but we lost a lot. We got a Bo Burklow that's a young guy, as a freshman. We needed to build some quality depth there. The great thing about those 2 guys is they're combo guys. They want to block. They can do the catching piece. Now they're going to be here in the spring, and they get a chance to learn from some older guys that are in the program. I forgot about Jacob Jenkins being here, so they get a chance to learn from that. But those guys are our future of that room. And Coach Ledutko did a fantastic job of identifying the needs there and identifying those 2. Those were our top 2 all year long, and he did a really good job. And they both from the state of Tennessee, and excited about bringing them in.
Where was your greatest need, position-wise?
What was our greatest need? They're all great. I think when you look at it, obviously quarterback, right? You start from your quarterback position. We brought in a transfer to try to help some depth. We've already lost obviously Jonathan Bennett from a depth standpoint. So you got to get a young guy. We held on to Reese Mooney last year when I first got him. He was committed to the previous staff. He decided to stay, and so you got to establish that position from a standpoint of building from high school on up, right? So that was key. And then as you look at it, where's the biggest areas where you're, and I don't say deficient. What I mean by deficient, not necessarily the players you have, but maybe the number of players at that position where you need. Like linebacker is a big. We don't have a lot of young people at linebacker, and so you don't want to live in the transfer world all the time from that standpoint. So you're looking at different things from there. We signed 2 high school linebackers, right? So you're trying to look at what are the areas where you're trying to build your depth, and then what are immediate needs. But they're all important, or you wouldn't sign them. Some of the positions have some time to develop. Some of the guys you hope come in, they need to be ready to go. And that's why it was so important to have 15 of them come in the spring, so now we can see where they're at, and they can push if they have the mental makeup and they physically can hold up, and they got a chance to play right away.
Got a few D linemen on there too. Was that important to try to address, from a depth standpoint, but then also just, trying to get some guys in here that can help pressure the passer? Do you feel like you got some of those?
It's a little bit of both. One, as you go back and look at your season on defense, I think our biggest area there, leading with 21 interceptions for the season, I believe is where we finished.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't do a great job of pressuring the quarterback consistently. So that's one area we know we have to get better at and be able to rush forward. So that was one of the reasons. 2, if you look at, and we anticipated, some of the guys that have put their name in the portal, they're defensive linemen. And so we already knew that going into it, so that was a push as well. We needed some depth, but we knew also we were going to lose some people from those positions, and that was the challenge of it, and that's why we signed a lot of them, and still looking, to be honest.
Also brought in 2 wide receivers from the high school level, Eric Smith from Richmond area. What do you see about him? That as you got to know him, that you think where he can help, and then same thing with Jonathan.
So Eric can really, really run. I mean, Eric can run. He's been here on campus running track. He can fly. And, one of the things that we wanted to identify from that position, receiver position, is we needed somebody that when he got the ball in his hands, he could take it the distance. I mean, he made people miss. And that's one thing that he has. He's got to get physically stronger, for this level. But once that happens with his speed and the way he can handle the ball and the different things that he does, he's got special talent. So that was something that Coach Washington and the offensive staff identified early on, is we've got to try to get some speed guys that can really go. And he's one. And then John Monterio from Massachusetts, we also wanted to identify we needed a bigger body that can be what we call our X receiver, our boundary receiver. That when it's one-on-one and you got to go win a matchup, we need somebody that had the ball skills and the physicality to be able to go do that. He's somebody we identified that did that coming off a state championship. They won a state championship there in Massachusetts, and so that was the goal from the receiver standpoint, to identify some speed, and then and younger speed, like a freshman coming in, and a bigger body receiver come in, we can develop. And then now we need some older guys as well to try to fill out the class. We've still got some scholarships left right now, and so one of those will be going with a receiver.
You mentioned having scholarships left, and then talking about earlier JUCO compared to 4-year, that kind of thing. Are you anticipating adding maybe some 4-year transfer portal guys like in the spring, before or after spring ball? That's
the plan. We've got some guys that we've identified that have said, hey, we want to be a part of what we're doing. And so once they enroll, then we'll be able to talk about them. We're still actively pursuing some as well. And we've had some that have visited already and said that they want to be a part of what we're doing, which is great. And then the next step, we've got some other positions that we're actively recruiting, and we hope you can find the right ones for January. But what we've learned is if we can get the right ones in the spring, they can come in and help us too. So we're not going to be just we got to take somebody. But there are more needs that we need to have, and you'll see us have some more visits here once we get into January, and the portal visit time can happen there. That for second weekend in January, we'll have some guys on campus to visit and hopefully supplement what we've got signed that we know are coming from that standpoint. And by position wise, it's probably we're looking anywhere from another 5 to 7.
Running back Caden Williams, he committed to you back in the summer before you led the nation in rushing, but how do you see him fitting into your offense?
I think what makes Caden an exceptional player, he's a physical back. He's a big back that can run through tackles in the box, and he does a great job in the box. But he also has enough speed where if he gets on the outside, he can go a little bit. So it's a good combo type force. From our back standpoint, you want a guy that can run through some tackles in the box, but also has enough speed to get outside, whether it's a pitch or whatever it may be. And he's a big physical back, and Coach Isaac does a fantastic job with our backs. And he'll be the guy that can come in and learn from Cooley, come in and learn from Billy, Lucas. A bigger body type backs there. James Joyner, he'll help complement that. And obviously having 4 years, that was important too, because after this year, Cooley's a senior, Billy's a senior. You're trying to continue to build that depth and get your running back room the way you want it.
And 2 high school DBs from Georgia, Ronald Moore, Devin Henderson. I think there's a connection between the 2 of them, friends there from there. Other guys that committed early also seem like they were also, helping to promote this class and try to, get others on board.
Yeah, Ron and Devin are 2 tremendous players. Devin's a safety there from Cass High School there in Georgia, and helped lead his team to a quarterfinal appearance. Did a fantastic job. He played offense and defense. Just a great football player. Comes from a great family. He's going to be a safety for us. We think he's a tremendous player. And then Ronald, Spalding High School there, had a great playoff run as well. And he's a guy that played corner. He played nickel. He's a really talented defensive back. And they both have great personalities. They're both really good players, good fits for us. And they were our biggest cheerleaders throughout this recruiting process. Once they were on board, everything they were doing was trying to bring the best class possible. And they will definitely add athleticism back there. They'll add a lot of talent. They'll add some confidence too. And what I mean by that, they believe in themselves. And we believe that those guys have enough talent. If the spring goes well and they can match, the mental makeup matches their physical skills, that they'll have a chance to contribute early.
3 high school offensive linemen signed, Blake, Rex, and Isaiah. Sure, you're always looking to build depth there, and that's typically a position you look for the future. Is that kind of what you saw in those 3?
Yeah, what you're trying to match up is it's hard to do nowadays. You're trying to project how your class is going to work out. Obviously, it's a challenge to do that. As we went through it, we need tackles. We need a guy that can play guard and tackle, and then you want a guy that can potentially be a center or guard. And so we identified really those positions, and then we went out trying to find the best fits for that. So like a Rex can play a center / guard. He's that type of body. He's got a great mentality. Just gets after people on video, and he's got an unbelievable mentality that Coach Durkin loves. And so we identified that. And then Blake and Isaiah are both tackle bodies that can potentially play guard if you need to, but we needed to get guys that we can put weight on, that can develop to where when our current crop starts moving on, that we've got guys to develop underneath them. Coach Durkin does a fantastic job of developing offensive linemen, as y'all saw this year. And so we're excited about them. And 2 of them are coming in early, which is huge. That gives them a chance to go through spring, gives a chance to understand what it's about, and we can start the process of development.
Then you mentioned linebacker being a position of need. I know you're going after some in the portal, but Caden and Seneca signed today out of high school. What impressed you about them, and why did you guys pursue them?
Well, one, they can both really run, from that standpoint. And at a linebacker position in today's college football, you got to be able to go sideline to sideline. So they both really run. And then secondly, they both come from tremendous families. They help lead their teams to successful seasons. And they're really good fits for us and for what we're trying to ask our linebackers to do. And they both have good size. And our biggest, as I said, biggest need, but we just don't have a lot of young guys there, right? And you don't want to get in a position where every year you have to go after transfers, this or that, just to try to fill spots. And we've had to do that. We've had to do that because of losing so many when I first got here. And then once you do that, you got to do it again until you get that right? So we'll try to get out of that carousel, so to speak. And these 2 guys, we think, have a bright future here for us.
All right, Coach, we're going to shift our focus to prep for Oregon. For those of you that are joining online, if you have any questions for Coach, if you could just use the raised hand option, we will get to you. But Coach, can you tell us what the last couple of weeks have been like preparing, and then we'll open up for questions.
Yeah, so we once the bowl pairings came out and put together our schedule on how we're going to prepare. We had about 4 or 5 practices where it was really just us working on fundamentals and doing some things that we needed to correct or improve from the preseason. And then starting last Friday is when we started preparing for Oregon and putting together a game plan and making sure that we're trying to practice enough for them to get ourselves ready to go out there and win a football game. And so it's a tremendous challenge for us. They're I think it's 6 points away. Is that what I think? 6 points away from playing for the national championship. So they're tremendous. And there's no phase, offense, defense, or special teams. They don't have great players in. They're well coached. As you continue to watch the video, I need to stop watching it because it makes me nervous. But just watching them and the way they play, the way they compete, I mean, it's a huge challenge for us. But what excites me is we got a chance to do that challenge, and our team's excited about that, to put ourselves up against the best in this country. And that's what I shared with them. They're one of the best teams in this country. And if things went their way, they'd be playing for a national championship. So we get a chance to see where we're at, where our program is at, and compared against the best. And so it's been fun doing this, because it's obviously the first time for all of us being in a New Year's Six Bowl. It's fun for our players, but also we're working toward to go out and play our very best as well. And we're looking forward to that trip out there. And we've got one more good practice, then we'll break for Christmas and then bring them back and get a couple practices in before we head to Phoenix area.
Talking to some of the guys yesterday, I think the biggest thing that jumped out to them scouting Oregon was just the speed. The speed on offense, really everywhere. Is that one thing that's jumped out to you, and how do you replicate that when you're trying to prepare for them?
Speed and the length is the biggest thing that we've not seen, right? And now, have we seen some of it in the past? Yeah, sure. Teams that playing in Arkansas, playing some of them, you've seen that. We've not obviously seen it this year, just from every position, right? They can really run in all positions, and they're big and long, and so you can't replicate that the way they run compared to what we're trying to do. It's hard to replicate that. But what you do is you practice the way and prepare the way you have all year long. You go out and put the best game plan together, and then you got to be smart about what we choose to attack and how we choose to attack. We might have done it versus a certain team. We can't do it versus them because they have too much speed or because they have too much length. We got to do something a little different to try to give ourselves the best chance to do that. So that's been the challenge for us, is how do we combat some of the things that they have, the advantages they have. And so we've been working hard on that and figure out, and make sure that we put the best game plan together for that. But they do have tremendous speed and size that, we've not seen consistently. And so that's the biggest challenge we'll face there from that standpoint.
December is also kind of a weird, it's the timing so weird now with the portal. You've obviously had, a handful or a few guys go into the portal. Has any decisions or discussions been made as far as which of those guys can play or will play in the bowl game?
So anybody that went in, I gave them the option to play. If somebody does not play, that's their option. They chose not to play in that there. Anybody that went in, I said, hey, you've been with us through the whole season. You've earned the right to play the game and travel and do all those things. And some that are in the portal are doing that and they're going to play. Some have decided not to play. So I totally left that up to them, but they did have the option to travel and play with us.
Coach, when you think about, I was thinking about your background and, kind of small town guy, being around high schools growing up, or high school football growing up, and Division II coach. You think about the moments that kind of led you here. Have you had time to really assess that, or could you kind of address, your background getting to this point?
Well, we've talked about it a little bit, and when you're watching video and you're saying, hey, we're getting ready to play in the Fiesta Bowl versus Oregon. I mean, that hits you in the face, 15 years ago, I was getting ready to play, Mars Hill in the playoffs. It's a big difference, right? But all that part of that journey to get to this point, you look back on it, and you're not even. We were sort of laughing about it. You're. When I was the head coach at North Greenville, I got in trouble. Because our game tickets on the back of them, you got free Chick-fil-A sandwiches. We had no money, so I took all those game tickets for an away game and I gave them to the Chick-fil-A so we could feed our team after a game. And now we're flying out to Phoenix. We're flying. The AD met with me and she said, you can't do that, So, but anyway, it's amazing what the Lord's done, and and I tried to screw that up, and our coaches tried to screw that up a bunch, but just the favor that He's given us. What I mean by that is, you weren't planning, you're doing all these things thinking, hey, one day you're going to be 13-0 and top 25 in the country playing in Fiesta Bowl, right? Or those dreams growing up, sure, but you really don't. When you're in the moment, you're not thinking about those things, and you're not trained that way as a coach. It's always just focus. But I made sure to tell our team and tell our coaches, hey, enjoy this, because it might not ever happen again. Now going forward to G5, you're going to the playoff, right? And so it's gonna be a lot harder to get to this position. And so I've looked back and we've looked back and had some good memories on some of the things that we had to go through at certain places to be at this point. And so, growing up where I did in East Tennessee, watching Sugar Bowls and watching all those things, to have that chance to run out of the tunnel on New Year's, like New Year's Day was the deal, right? That was the deal. Get up in the morning, start at 11 a.m. I think it used to be the Citrus Bowl at 11 a.m. And then it'd go forward, right? And it's sort of be doing that, having that experience. It's amazing, and I'm not taking it for granted. Now we're obviously preparing and doing everything to go out there, and we're expecting to win. But I'm not taking it for granted as well. I told her we're going to soak up the experience as well while we're doing it, and because at the level G5 level, that's few and far between to get to do that, and it's getting harder. So it'll be harder going forward. And so just amazing what the favor that the Lord gave us this year on the program and on the university, and for us to be a small part of that, just to us be a part of that. Our staff is just, we appreciate it. There's people who've been coaching for a long time that have never been able to play in a game like this or compete in a game like this. And so if you'd have told me that how many years ago when we were 2-8 in 2009, and I was like, what am I doing? Couldn't figure things out. And if you said that, hey, just be patient. 16 years later, however many, 15 years later, whatever it is, you're in Fiesta Bowl. Just said you're crazy. But that's amazing. Just if you stay the course, believe in yourself, and put the players first, good things can happen.
So about your backup quarterback situation going into this game, obviously with JB, what will that look like? And hopefully we won't have to talk about it in the game, but what will it look
So
like?
Trey Lowe will be our 2,
Okay.
and Nate Hampton will be a 3. JB's not going to be playing in the game, so he's opted out. And then and so Trey's been getting all the 2 reps, and then Nate would be the 3rd guy, the emergency guy there if something happened.
Any other concerns position-wise from a depth standpoint in light of the portal or injuries?
From a secondary standpoint, banged up there a little bit, and then Preston Hodge is opted out. And so for us to play some of those guys there, Christian Bodner, who's a freshman who redshirted this year, he'll play probably quite a bit in the game. Obviously, the game don't count, so he'll play quite a bit. So, we'll have some newer guys playing back there because of some need there. So I don't want to say it's necessarily a depth issue, but just an experience issue from that standpoint. And then besides that, hopefully everybody's healthy and be good to go.
And Kendi was going to probably miss it anyway.
Yeah, Kenny's trying to get back to play. That was the plan. If we, when we made the New Year's deal, like if there's a chance for him to, I'm not saying that's a great chance, but there's a small chance that he can if the rehab continues to go well and there's no setbacks. But so he's working towards that right now to try to get clear to play. That's the plan, to try to clear him to play. Whether that happens or not, we don't know. There's some things we got to get through, and hopefully for him, and that's what he wants to do. He wants to compete in it. That everything will be healthy enough for so he can.
Along those same lines, I know Schlittler told me a few weeks ago he wanted to play in the bowl game. Is that a possibility for him?
He's rehabbing still. I would think that that would have to be a specific situation for him to go in, probably. Hopefully in victory formation within the game, that'd be great. But I think that would be specific because he's still rehabbing and making sure the knees. You don't want to put somebody in and there's a remote chance of something happening. And so we're still monitoring that.
Have you had a chance to think about just the opportunity that waits for you and this team and this program? January 1st, just there'll be a lot of eyeballs on the game, a lot of people watching it, and then I think a lot of people, probably nationally aren't giving you a lot of chance to win the game. Just the opportunity of that.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of doubt. We're not mute, right? We know that people are saying you don't deserve to be there and this or that, and so. But I think more than anything, instead of trying to prove people wrong, I think it's really more of us proving ourselves right, and how we do things and why we do things. And our guys know. We know the challenge. We know how good they are. You don't turn on video and go, oh gosh, you turn on saying, hey, we know we're gonna have to play well, And I've told our guys we got to play well. But I expect this too. I expect us to go out and compete like we always have and play for all 4 quarters or whatever it takes. Play our best game and put ourselves in position to win. But I do, regardless of what happens, we're one of 5 games, 6 games, whatever it is on New Year's Day, the day for college football. And Liberty University is on that day. And so what that does for recruiting, what that does for our university, What that does for these young people, I mean, the guys on our team that are coming back, just the standards have been set. Now they got something that they try to reach for. And the guys that are graduating that decided to stay, they all could have left, right? They all could have left. And to be rewarded for that and to run out in the tunnel of Fiesta Bowl was a big deal. And so I want to make sure that they understand the importance of it. When we found out we obviously got in the next team meeting we had, I went over the history of the Fiesta Bowl and the big moments. When Miami wore the fatigues versus Penn State in 80, I think it was 86 year, 87. Obviously the Boise, Oklahoma, everybody knows about. There's been so many big games there. And I wanted them to understand that they're part of history. This whole year we talked about we are writing history for Liberty football. And what history would be said would be based off of how we handled ourselves, And so the history that they already put forth is tremendous, but they got a chance to really close the book with an unbelievable story, unbelievable ending. And so I know they're excited about it. I know they're looking forward to going out there. But also I know they're excited about proving themselves too, that, hey, they know what naysayers say, and they're excited about going up against the best and say, how is our best good enough for, a team that could be playing for a national championship. So that's what excites all of us.
Coach, we've got one online, Dave Walls. We'll wrap up with you, Dave.
Dave, when you leaving, man?
What? I'm leaving the same day you are. I'll see you down there.
Okay, Dave. Good.
Okay. Hey, from the Conference USA Championship game to the Fiesta Bowl, it's a 1 month layoff. Have you ever had a layoff of this length between games? And how big is the challenge of making sure guys don't over prepare, get over hyped up for this game? And on the flip side, you talked a little bit about guys being banged up. I mean, how big of a benefit is this extra time to maybe hopefully get some of those guys back?
Well, I think the extra time is big from that standpoint. Anybody that has a chance to come back, they've got all this time to get ready. Secondly, with the extra time, what's been a big benefit is we've had every practice. We've done a mini scrimmage at the end of it with our younger guys that haven't played as much or redshirt or whatever. And so they're getting all these extra opportunities to get 8, 10, 12 plays a day to help them develop, whether that's receivers, running back, some of the quarterbacks. And so it's almost like another spring practice for them. So that's been great. This is obviously the longest time between a game. If you go back to 2020 during the COVID year, everybody was supposed to play beginning in September, and I think they canceled the first week of most of those games. So we didn't play like September 12th, and you started like August 1st. So that was a long time from a start of a practice till playing a game. That was about 5 weeks, but that's preseason. This is obviously the longest time after a game and waiting on a game. And so from a coaching standpoint, I reached out and got a couple different people's, I'll say calendars, so to speak, but how they did prior bowl games and different things at other places to try to see how that schedule might match up to what we were thinking. The number of practices people get, how they monitor that, how much Christmas days off they get for Christmas, vice versa. So we tried to talk to as many people we could that have been in these situations and try to fit that around our schedule. So it definitely has been unique, but there's been a good benefit of it. I think what makes it challenging now is because of where the recruiting cycle is, sign-in date is, and the way the portal is. There's no time in there where you're not doing this something all the time, and so by the time you get to this little Christmas break, I mean, the coaches are dead, they're because of everything that they've had to do. And everybody else. And so, but it's definitely, I was talking earlier about all the different things going on. It's way better to be doing it 13-0, being a Conference USA champion than be, sitting at home and trying to figure out the next step. So whatever the challenges have been over this month, it's definitely been worthwhile.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, Coach. Thank you for some extended time today.
Yeah.
Wish you and your family Merry Christmas.